everyone, it's Ileana, and thanks for stopping by. I have a few cards to share with you today. I'm going to be playing around with some alcohol inks using the Concord and 9th Stuck on You stamp set along with a couple of background stamps. I'm not very familiar with alcohol ink blending, but I just wanted to play with it and you'll see how that goes. First, I'm starting off with a piece of Kraft cardstock, and I'm going to be stamping this Concord and 9th BARNWOOD background. Now, my card panel is an A2 size, so there is no place to hold it down with a magnet. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a little bit of score tape onto the back. And because I'm using the mouse pad that you can get for the MISTI, the plastic coating will help to release that adhesive on the score tape. I'm just preparing my card panel with an anti-static bag. That way the oils for my fingers and any static will keep the embossing powder from sticking to the cardstock. I'm starting off with my Ink on 3 embossing ink, and this is my dirty ink pad. Normally you want to keep it clean so that when you stamp with clear embossing powder, you don't see a dingy ink underneath. But for this instance, I don't mind it, and it's letting me see where I've stamped. So I am stamping quite a few times just because this is a large background stamp. And once I get that inked enough, I'm just going to carefully pull this off my mouse pad. I'm going to be using a embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and this is coffee ground. But I end up not using this panel, but I left it in just so that you could see that I deviate from my plan all the time. I really did not make a practice card, and so I'm just kind of winging the whole process here. I'm heat setting my embossing powder with my Wagner heat gun, and now I'm moving on to my alcohol ink blending. I'm wearing gloves because I just got my nails done and I don't want to get alcohol ink on my nails. I did start off with using a little bit of the blending solution, and I am just dropping some alcohol ink down. I'm using 3 colors of green: Meadow, Willow, and Lettuce. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I just vaguely remember what I've seen online. And I didn't go back and refresh my memory as to what to do, so I'm just kind of playing around trying to see what I can get. I want to get a variation of green so that I could stamp my cactus on there, because I figured if it looked a little too green or perfect, then I just wanted it to look natural. So I just stamped a whole bunch of different colors. Now on this panel, I'm putting down the ink first, and then I'm doing the blending solution. And I just wanted to try a different method just to see which one works better for me. So if you have any suggestions on alcohol blending, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to read those, and maybe I will get a little more comfortable with ink blending. But I did have fun playing with these, and it does dry rather quickly. So I had to keep adding blending solution to keep the alcohol moving. I didn't want any drip lines because I thought it would be distracting on my cactus. Now you don't have to do this part. Like I said, I really didn't have a plan. I did die cut these. I could have just gone directly to stamping because I end up not liking the halo around it. So this part right here, and I'm going to stop the video right here. I wanted to explain how I have this set up. So I originally stamped my cactus with a dark ink, and I took a negative die cut and I centered it over the stamped image. But because the glossy paper was a little warped, I needed to hold it down somewhere. So I added some purple tape behind the die cut, and that will hold it in place while I stamp on top of it. So I hope that makes sense. Now, moving on, I ended up not using this piece, so I did stamp it with some embossing ink, and I am using this WOW embossing powder, and I don't know how to say the name of it, so I'll just put it on the screen. I was just playing around to see if I would like this better. I had already stamped the images with some Stazon ink, which I of course did not get on camera. That's why you're seeing this shot here. But anyways, I didn't like how it turned out, so I'm just testing it out with my background, and I am deciding that I want to go with the black Stazon ink stamped one, but I don't like the halo, so I went ahead and cut that part out. I'm just using a black marker to go around the edges so you can see where all of the white of the cardstock is going to be gone, and it just makes it look a little bit cleaner. I did forget to do it on a few pieces, but it wasn't that noticeable. It's just a way to finish it up. Now I'm going to see which one I like the best, and I kind of don't really like the dark one, so I'm going to go with this other panel that I stamped out, and this panel was just with some embossing ink with some icicle embossing powder, but I do want it to look a little bit more aged, and so I'm just taking some distress ink, and I end up using 3 different kinds of distress ink. I am using walnut stain, ground espresso, and gathered twigs, and so I'm just playing around with the look of the weathered wood. And I'm using my Picket Fence life-changing brushes, and I really do like these. I have just really enjoyed having these brushes, and now I kind of want to use them on every card. So I'm just going around the edges, trying to kind of create like a halo around the panel so that it just looks a little more of a spotlight in the center. But you can do whatever you want. You can just kind of make it look old. And what's the word? I can't think of the word. Rustic. You can just make it look rustic. Sorry, it took me a while to think of that. And now I'm going to go around the edges with the ground espresso, which is the darkest color, and I'm just trying to go on the very edges just so that it looks a little bit darker. And I was a little lazy. I didn't grab a microfiber cloth, so I just grabbed a tissue from the tissue box that was next to me. Now I'm just going to add some foam tape to the back of my die cuts and just adhere that to the front of my panel. Now I wanted to use the rest of my alcohol ink pad, so I wanted to create a different background for a different card. So I am using the Brutus Monroe and Unity stamp set called Barn Wall, and I want to kind of make it look like a picket fence, but it's not really a picket fence because it has like little slats to it. But anyways, I am just stamping that with some Gina Kraft ink, and I did emboss it with my icicle embossing powder. Now I'm just adding a little bit of color to the bottom using this slim brush from Picket Fence, and I really like it because it offers you so much control just to be able to go around that tiny edge, kind of make it look like a shadow against a wall. Now I'm buffing everything out with my microfiber towel, and now I'm just going to add some more die cuts that I just made. I just stamped the smaller cacti with the leftover paper that I had from the card I made earlier, and I just cut all those out. So I was able to get quite a few. I didn't mention earlier, but I did do the clay pot using the Butterscotch and Terracotta, and I just trimmed those out. I didn't show it earlier, but that's what I did. Now I'm just adding a little bit of detail with some colored pencil. I'm just adding some green to the small little grass that I've stamped, and then I'm over stamping just so that it looks a little more glossy since the cardstock is a little glossy, and I'm just adding that little bit of detail. Now I've added all of my elements to the front of my card using some foam tape, and I want to add a little bit of a shadow underneath my pots. So I'm just adding some more of that distress ink. And those are my cards for today. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed this process. I did muddle through quite a bit, but that's just the way card making is. And if you like this, be sure to hit that like button and don't forget to hit subscribe. And I hope you have a great day.